What's up guys, it's Just You Missed It. Today we're going to be watching 3 True NBA Playoffs Horror Stories animation. So let's get it. This was done by Horror Shorts Party. Please do subscribe to them and check out more of their videos. Let's get into the video. So let me just wind it back a little bit. Now, under the age of 13 guys, or if you're under 13, please, take off the video, and it contains graphic or mature content which is not suitable. So please take those in before you start watching. Let's go. Keep in mind this is part 1. LeBron James. I remember when he was in the Cavs. It was nice for his NBA team.
All in all, I think the luckiest thing that ever happened to me in my life was being born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio. From there, sharing a birthplace with the basketball legend LeBron James, I've been able to get closer to him than I bet most wannabe fans could ever dream of. But if you're really a fan like me, just living in the same city as the idol isn't enough. Cities are big places, and elite men like LeBron James spend very little, if any, time amongst the masses. That's not a problem I face myself, however, because I know how to get close. It's all about those courtside seats. They bring you so close to the players that you can very nearly feel the heat dissipating from their bodies. And every now and then you get lucky enough to trade a few words with one of them. LeBron! LeBron! I love you, LeBron! Come over and have dinner with me!
What the freak? Bro, do not shout that. It's so cringy. Imagine the ESPN recording and just narrating about the NBA playoffs, and then you got this crazy fan.
Feel the heat dissipating from their bodies. And every now and then you get lucky enough to trade a few words with one of them.
Look, imagine this is what happens on live TV when the camera randomly zooms on you.
LeBron! LeBron! I love you, LeBron! Come over and have dinner with me!
I mean, who says that? Number 1. Number 2, do you think dinner is a bit too far? I mean, he ain't gay. I'm pretty sure he has a good one.
Good for you! I know how you like your steaks! I'll do everything for you!
Wait, what? You know we could... yeah, this guy, I don't even know. The weird thing about this is that these kind of fans do exist, so can't argue.
Every time I meet with a family member, they ridicule me and chastise me about how much money I spend on getting those tickets at every home game. But they don't understand how important it is to me. It's not like I'm going broke over it anyway. I don't see what's wrong with it if I can afford it. I mean, some people spend their money on vacations and computers and clothes, and I spend my money on getting as near to LeBron James as I can. I would say it's like my hobby, but LeBron James more than anything, more than money and more than women, is what gets me out of bed in the morning. It's hard for me to explain it. He's just so iconic. Everything he does just exudes badassery and confidence, virtue and compassion. He's like the greatest single...
Westbrook. Okay. I'm pretty sure Westbrook was bald by the time LeBron was in the Cavs, but alright. Also, it's alright to have an addiction, as long as the addiction's not taking over your life.
Specimen of a human being that's ever existed. He's indomitable on the court, undoubtedly a powerhouse in the gym, and an angel in mortal coil everywhere else. Now, people often call me biased. They say he's not the greatest who ever lived, though he may be close, and that I just feel that way because we're both Cleveland natives. Those people might be right, but it doesn't matter to me at all. LeBron and I have a history together. You know his famous chalk throws, where he throws a cloud of chalk into the air and watches it disappear with his fans? Whenever I'm courtside, I carry with me a big Ziploc bag that I've coated with honey on the inside and wait for the throw, while everyone else is stunned in slack-jawed amazement. You might see me on the cameras holding up an open bag with great pride, hoping to catch some of the chalk particles that have recently been graced by contact with the skin of LeBron James. His skin.
Bruh.
How it contains such divinity.
Because he
I'm proud
washes
to
his
say
skin
that I
down.
myself have gone a step further from gathering his chalk, and I've actually touched the man himself. One night after the game, LeBron was doing a little photo op with some other fans.
Tell make this dude look like the lizard from Spider-Man? Huh? Just saying.
I saw him surrounded by a bunch of starving-looking little kids in hospital gowns, and I struck while I had the chance. I still keep a printout of that photo on my nightstand. It's the first thing I see when I wake up, and the last thing I see before I sleep. But even the photo itself means little compared to the experience I had getting the photo. Hey LeBron, I'm your biggest groupie. I mean, fan. I hope you can hear my cheers amongst the Cavs fans.
It's pretty good, but I know we can be much, much louder than any fan base, you know, in this league.
Can I please take a picture with you? Hurry up, kid. You're not the only fan here. I was slick with it. I put my arm around his shoulder while we posed for the photo. And right after I snapped it, before he could get away from me, I caressed the top of his head for just a moment. Oh, did that feel good.
Yo, get this man off the car.
Stroking the casing of that magnificent brain, feeling the hair and the grease transfer to my fingers. Even if those fibers didn't grow directly from his head, they still mingle with his sweat and sweat and went along for the ride of a well-played match. I hate it when people make fun of his hairline, as if it makes him any less angelic. But anyway, I might have made a bad impression on LeBron on that occasion, though I'm not really sure why. All I know is that he gave me a very strange look and walked away very suddenly, abandoning all those Make-A-Wish kids. Moments later, I was getting tossed around by a bunch of security meatheads who threw me out of the stadium and threatened to have me banned from all future games. Who do you think you are, man? Don't you have any respect? Get the hell out of here! Obviously, I couldn't get banned or my life would be over. So as much as it pained me, I took a back seat for the season. Though I saved a lot of money by not getting courtside seats, that season sucked. I was forced to watch him give love to all his other fans while I sat on the sidelines of the sidelines. It made me so angry. There was one occasion where LeBron almost ended our relationship altogether. He just finished scoring the winning baskets of a really tight game. And it was bad enough that I was forced to watch it from 1,000 feet away. But afterwards...
Just be grateful you got to see it at all.
There was this whole celebration in LeBron's honor. I wanted so bad to run out onto the court with him, but I just barely held myself back. But that's when I saw him do something that made my blood boil. He changed his shoes and jersey and signed them and just gave them away to some homely-looking chubby kid. Afterwards, I found that ungrateful little snot and followed him out into the parking lot. I lured him away from the crowd, then demanded to have the shoes and jersey. No way, man. I got these and they're mine. I'm gonna sell these for a fortune in 10 years. Cram it, you little twerp. Those belong to me.
Dude, this guy's evil. A whole nother level. Just leave the kid with the shoes. You always have another opportunity. Damn.
Now, I do regret the lengths I went to, but I did what I had to do. I socked him right in the nose.
Damn, all for shoes. No matter how much it's worth, bro, I'm pretty sure his nose is worth more.
I was hoping he would just crumble and pass out, but then he started screaming. Oh my God, what is wrong with you? That's when I knew I had to make sure he wouldn't be able to tap me. So I had to break his face just a little bit. Nobody was near the alley, so I had enough time to beat him to a juvenile pulp, take what belonged to me, and get the hell out of there before anyone saw. Unfortunately, the little brat soiled both the jersey and the shoes by getting blood all over them and staining them. It's alright though, because I wasn't planning on selling those. Ever. It was around that time, however, that tragedy struck for Cavalier fans.
Wow.
LeBron got traded, and of all places, to the Miami Heat. And no matter how hard I tried to swing it, I could just never afford courtside seats in Miami and plane tickets there and back all the time. I'm ashamed to admit it, but there were a couple years when I didn't see LeBron at all.
Good.
I'd forgiven him already, of course, and I had to make sure he knew that. When he started becoming active on Instagram, I reached out to him there. I sent him a message every day for a few months, but he never got back to me. I didn't have any followers, so I must have looked like a bot or some kind of scam or something. If he knew it was really me, I'm sure he would have responded. And even though LeBron eventually returned to Cleveland, I had to do something to make do during that time in between. At first, I built a little shrine dedicated to him, using all the little pieces
This dude crazy.
of him that I've gathered over the years.
You're not gonna
My
get
family
banned
thought it
life
was a
guys
joke
like
when I
this.
told them about it, but it's not. I was trying to find ways to legitimize it, and then one day, heaven delivered to me the perfect gift. I saw an ad from a LeBron James lookalike who was offering to do birthday parties for little kids while impersonating LeBron James. Obviously, I knew what I had to do, because I knew the real LeBron would loathe to see such an imposter making money on his likeness. I lured the impersonator into a trap with relative ease.
Yeah, that dude is evil.
And now, with just a little bit of imagination, I have LeBron James in my basement, whenever I want him.
Oh, nah.
LeBron, you look enchanting this evening. Do you prefer red wine or white wine?
I don't care. Please just let me out of here. I won't tell anyone, I swear.
Oh, Mr. James.
You know, I think this guy's a really duffel.
You should really use your inside voice. Now, where is your bag of chalk? Have you forgotten your before-dinner ritual?
And who even has a basement like that, my guy? Man? Come on now. He has his own. So let's clap it up. That was a good one. Now it's time for part 2. That was really good. The narrator was also good as well, so let's get it. Stephen Wardell Curry. Let's go.
I had a carefree life in Oakland, California. I
What
loved
the-
hanging out with friends after work and
No.
watching live band concerts, even if it meant pushing against the crowd. But despite my love,
No. We don't want to see that.
this man would be the fantasy of every Golden State Warriors fangirl, and he was none other than Stephen Curry. Who could resist those gorgeous eyes, firm muscles, superb three-point shooting skills, and cunning point guard maneuvers? 70% of the time, I would be there to watch him live, supporting him from beginning to end. Steph was perfect, and everything he did was beautiful. I worshipped him so much that during a game between the
Bad mistake.
Golden State Warriors and the Houston Rockets in 2013, I cornered a Rockets fan who called Steph an idiot. Outraged, I waited for her in the restroom and blinded her eyes with my pen. I stabbed both her eyes over and over again.
Jeez, my bad. But bro, you can't just do that over good, yo. Just imagine someone who calls Steph a twat or something worse than that. She is not playing.
When it wasn't enough, I pulled on her hoop earrings and ripped them out of her pathetic
Wow, this guy needs to be
Seeing
locked
her
in the
cower
asylum.
in
She
fear
needs to get
inside a
locked up in the
cubicle
asylum.
made me feel like I had done Curry justice. In 2016, when I found out the Golden State Warriors were up against the Cleveland Cavaliers for playoff season, I highlighted the entire game series on my calendar and watched all 6 games. On June 19th, I went to watch Game 7. I felt eyes creep all over my body as men drooled at the sight of me. I couldn't blame them. After all, who wouldn't notice?
Yo, just chill out.
With 11 ties and 20 lead changes. However, my dear Warriors were defeated by the Cavaliers. It didn't matter to me when they lost the game. And now that the game was over, I had to find a way to get close to Steph. I was on the lower level, close enough to the Golden State Warriors bench. So I gave it my best shot and screamed my lungs out, saying,
Steph Curry, over here.
His eyes wandered off across the sea of people, but nowhere near me. So, when I failed to grab his attention, I hollered once again.
Steph, I love you.
Then,
Why do you just quit it, man? Right, here we go again. She's gonna start shouting and now she's gonna lunge about a foot all the way to get her. Probably, I don't know. But this person's a savage for this.
another girl called out his name in the same row.
She kinda like Daphne from Scooby-Doo. Can't lie.
Oh, mimicking the words that came out of my mouth. I wanted to yank her hair, but I couldn't, because she was 3 seats away from me. She wore a tube shirt and booty shorts, so when Steph waved at her, it infuriated me.
You copycat witch. He's mine.
I lunged towards her and grabbed her hair, starting a full-out fist fight in that row. When the security guard noticed, he said, "Hey, you two! If you girls got a problem, I have no choice but to take you outside. You got that?" I was silent after that. and let the trick go. But I was also furious that Steph hadn't noticed me at all. So, my next step was to try and meet him up close. However, I couldn't get through a jungle of wild fans, all wanting to gain access to Steph Curry. There were just too many of them.
Damn it.
I said, wishing that I had bought one of the more expensive tickets instead. All of them wanted to get an autograph. Then, one of the girls emerged.
Guys, if you ever a fan of someone, please don't do what these people do. Don't make the same mistake. If you want to be a fan, fine, but don't take it to the extreme just for an autograph, because at the end of the day, what if your kid rips it? Are you gonna throw your kid in the bin? Think about it.
From the crowd, seeming jovial. After getting what she wanted, she held a jersey in her hand with Curry's signature on it. But she also went the extra mile by having her right cheek signed as well.
What?
When I came closer, I recognized her as the annoying Curry fangirl. I lost it then and there. This girl didn't deserve to be happy. And so, as everyone left the arena, I stalked the woman, following her silently as she rode the bus.
Wow.
She got off and strolled through an empty park. It's amazing how human instincts work, because I could tell she felt uneasy. She kept looking back at me, her shoulders rigid and her speed fast. At this point,
Speed. Don't even wait, true.
she had noticed that I was following her. So, without a moment to lose, I ran and pounced like a predator that went in for the kill. I
Wow.
thrashed her head in with a small rock, aiming for the temple with my pent-up anger and frustration.
Jeez. This girl, she has to chill, fam. She has to chill.
I didn't stop until she bled. She yelled at me and said,
Get off of me, you lunatic! Somebody help!
Just hand me Steph's precious autograph. Give it to me now.
I retorted, convinced she would cave in.
All right. Just stop
She smashed her head open. Yeah.
hitting me, please.
She
Yo.
said out of
yo.
shock, but it wasn't enough. So, to bring me satisfaction, I took her bag, threw it to the side, and strangled her.
This is not gonna end well, bro. I'm surprised she's not arrested at
When
this
she
point.
finally blacked out, I dragged her towards the trees and broke both her legs by kicking in her kneecaps relentlessly until she woke up from sheer...
Yeah.
Good. That's exactly how I like it.
I laughed, deliriously.
Just let me go, please. I won't call the cops, I promise.
She begged, desperately.
Sure, I'll let you go, but not until I get what I want.
I said, as I pointed at her. She looked down at the jersey she was wearing and frantically said,
I was trying to tell you that you could take it, but you weren't listening to me.
Are you sure about that?
I teased. She replied, tossing me the jersey.
The product allows me a range of motion.
Yeah. She needs help. She definitely needs help. I cannot lie to you.
Just take it and leave me alone already.
Okay, thanks. It's not like you have a choice anyway.
I snickered triumphantly.
You know what? I hate girls like you who always get in the way of me and my beloved Stefan.
She began to shed rivers of tears.
Hey, stop crying. No one's gonna hear you out here late at night. It's just you and me. I made sure of it.
I threatened her, delighted at the turn of events.
Oh, and one last thing. I wasn't talking about the jersey.
I took
Oh. Nah. She's gonna.
out a Swiss
She's
Army
gonna
knife,
rip.
which I always
Yo.
brought for self-defense, and dangled it in front of her, smiling menacingly.
Wait, what are you planning to do with that?
She asked, in a trembling voice.
Well, you have something more valuable.
Then, with exuberance,
No.
I gripped the knife and pierced it through the skin on her cheek that had Curry's signature on it.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. You can't see that. You can watch the video if you want. But
To bite it off instead.
yeah, you people can watch that. I'm sorry, but not on this channel.
Wall where I could take a sidelong glance at Steph's signature every so often as I fantasized about him and I together.
the final NBA playoff horror story. Can I just say that these were amazing? Now, this is narrated by Boundin Imaginary, which is good. Let's do it. James Harden. Okay.
Even though I saw it happen with my own eyes, I still can't believe that there are creeps out there who single out and target high-class ladies like me. What happened to them that made them something? Whereas a girl like me was born somebody. I've got a reputation to uphold, you know? If people found out about this, they'd start to think I was just another brainless floozy, another statistic. But I am no statistic. You do not get to know who I am, but you get to know what I am. I'm a daughter of affluence, and don't forget it. My daddy owns a multinational corporation, and my mom's a doctor. Big brainiacs, both of them.
Getting that money, and I see it.
And they use their smarts to make sure I'd be able to continue in their footsteps. And I'm working on that now. I'm going to school so I can become the next richest woman on the planet and make my parents proud. But a few years ago, back in like 2018, I was a little more carefree. I had a lot of freedom, and I still do, mind you, but back then I was taking full advantage of my privileges. My parents basically let me do whatever I wanted with the allowance they gave me, and you can bet that it was no pittance. My friend and I, for the sake of keeping her real name out of this fiasco, we'll call her Kayla. We both loved basketball. Well, more accurately, we loved the basketball players. The Toyota Center in our home city of Houston was gearing up for the playoffs, and we'd nabbed courtside seats for the home game, which meant we'd be getting all the eyefuls of the NBA stars that we could ever want. We were getting hammered before the game even started. People call it pre-gaming, but that's where the fun really starts. At least that's what we thought. Because when we got out of the Uber, made our way through the crowd of the stadium, and sat down, we realized that our seats were more than just courtside. They were about as close to the benches of the Houston Rockets as the general populace could get. We could almost smell the cologne and
yeah, that's kind of gross. I can imagine it because I've actually been to a basketball game.
Sweat wafting over from their bodies, and I'm getting giddy just thinking about it now, so you can probably imagine how hard my friend and I were swooning at the time. On top of that, we basically always had some kind of intoxicating beverage in our hand at all times.
Dang, are you saying I should throwing it back? Literally, I mean, if I drank that, I would spill it all out. I cannot. Or maybe I'll just choke for no reason. But she obviously has a windpipe that goes all the way to her intestine. Like inside her intestine. I don't know.
Trading them in for fresh ones every chance we got. We weren't even paying attention to the game. I forgot there was a ball and basket altogether. I couldn't take my eyes off the players. But by halftime, my vision started to get a little blurry from all the drinks. Around that time, Kayla ran off somewhere.
I have to use the bathroom. You let me know if anything happens while I'm gone. Okay.
Now you're necked, man. This is one of the reasons why you should not drink.
I'm just gonna chill here for a little while.
Admittedly, I'd gone a little too hard with the drinking that
You
night,
think?
and
Chucking it down your throat like that.
it was catching
No
up to
wonder
me.
you can't
I
move.
couldn't really see any
Or
of
blink.
what was going on, and all the noise in the stadium just sounded like a bunch of bubbles underwater, totally indecipherable. I had no idea if the game had even started back up yet, or if it was
You going for a
already
third one?
completely over.
After that,
Even
you're going
though
for a
I
third
did
one.
have to pee, and I probably could have been well served by some sickness in the bathroom, I decided the best thing for me to do was stay in my seat and wait for Kayla to come back. And of course, while I waited, I continued to drink. But before Kayla returned from the bathrooms, which were way up the steps of the stadium, a man came up to me. I was very faded and couldn't see him in detail, but I saw that he was very tall with a big beard and a frohawk, which, for me at the time, was enough to make him look like James Harden.
Hey, are you James Harden?
His voice was so deep and silky. I shivered when he spoke. Of course I am. Who else would I?
I don't think these group of women would not see that that's not James Harden. I mean, they would have reacted in a different way, number one. Number two, why would they be saying in the public? Even if you are like drunk, couldn't you see that James Harden would not sit on a public seat?
I be?
What? I thought you were in the locker rooms for halftime.
My team is in the locker room, but I'm free to go wherever I want. And I had to come talk to the girl who's been giving me the bedroom eyes this whole time. I have to say, you're even more beautiful than I thought you'd be at a glance. Why don't we ditch this scene? Maybe come with me to my mansion.
But, James, what about the game?
It's a lost cause, but if you'd rather stay and watch the
Yeah, I don't think James Harden will say that either.
Rockets lose, I could always find another thought. I mean, I thought you would want to leave with me, but I guess I'll find someone else.
No, wait, James. Don't be that way. I'll come with you. Just give me a second to step up. I'm really...
Before I could finish that drunken mess of a sentence, he grabbed my hand and held onto it with a firm grip as he escorted me out of the stadium. It was really hard to keep up with him. Not only did he have long legs and a stone-cold sober attitude, but he also seemed to be in a real rush to leave for some reason.
These adverts, bro. Yo, guys, I'm so sorry for these adverts. Literally, these adverts are just... Don't know why YouTube put doubles. But yeah, the video will begin shortly, I promise.
It didn't take long for me to get my first red flags. Instead of going into the special garage that I thought existed for the athletes, we went into the regular garage where all the fans parked. Not only that, but he had a really lame car. It was just some cheap old Toyota. Unfortunately, the walk was doing the opposite of sobering me up, somehow pushing more alcohol through my system.
What is wrong with this woman? What is actually wrong with her? You just keep on drinking and drinking and drinking till you can't even swallow. Okay, that's on you. People these days.
Either blacked out or passed out for several minutes, because the next thing I remember is speeding down the off-ramp of a highway, then turning onto some random dirt road in the woods.
Wait, what's going on? Where are we?
My mansion, of course.
But this is all just woods. What are you talking about?
Well, I didn't lie to you. This wooded area is what I call my mansion. Suddenly, a lot of things started clearing up. A rush of panic and adrenaline sobered me up enough for me to actually start having some logical thoughts go through my head. I could see better, too. And this guy didn't look anything like James Harden.
Yeah.
I quickly realized that the real James Harden would never abandon his team halfway through a
That's what I'm saying. Should have realized that before you drank.
game, let alone a game as important as the playoffs. I began to feel sick, both the hangover and the realization all dawning on me at once. I'd been duped by some rotten imposter, and only God knew where he was taking me. That's when I felt my phone buzz. I pulled it out of my purse and saw that Kayla had been texting me.
Where are you, girl? Where'd you go? Hello? James Harden just threw a free throw and you missed it. The game's almost over. Don't make me go home alone.
That's when my instincts took over. I unbuckled my seatbelt and jumped out the door while the car was...
Damn, yeah, bleh. I mean, I would have done the same thing, but damn. She full on jumped out the road like a GTA animation. Crazy.
Still in motion. He was going over some gravel road which bruised and cut me all over. He slammed on the brakes to try and come back and get me, but I was already rolling with the momentum and getting onto my feet, running straight into the woods where he wouldn't be able to drive after me. I had no idea where I was, but I knew it was nowhere good. I ran in the general direction of the highway we'd just gotten off of, traipsing through a number of weakly blazed trails. I wasn't thinking about it at first, but then I was forced to realize what had made these trails. Every once in a while, I saw a body. A dead body of another young girl that used to be pretty before death and decay got to her.
Dang. This actually happens as well.
were putrid and hollowed out like they'd been there for weeks, but others still were shockingly fresh, as if they'd been killed just a few days ago. This man had to be a serial killer. God knows I didn't stop to inspect them. I couldn't hear the murderous imposter chasing after me. It took what felt like hours before I got back to the highway. From there, I got to a different road and called up another Uber and made my way back to Kayla's house. She was the only one I ever told about this ordeal, until now. But after all that aftermath, I still attend NBA games till this day. I just make sure my cup is non-alcoholic, as I don't want to encounter another hardened imposter again.
Hey LeBron, I'm your biggest group.
Thank you guys for watching this video if you liked it. And there's also a few messages in here. Number 1, be careful of who you hang around. Number 2, please don't try and drink in general. Number 3, don't forget to dunk that like button, dunk that subscription button, and I'll see you in the next freaky, you know what, I forgot the words. Freaky Friday. I'll see you in the next Freaky Fridays. Okay, I'll see you in the flip side. Mystic is no longer Mystic.